Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Is it snowing out there? I can't tell. Is it just overcast?
I can't see. I'm in my windowless box.
Yeah, I heard it might be like a light snow might be falling. But you say we're going up to 58 tomorrow?
38.
Oh, 38.
But it'll feel like the real feel's 58.
58,
And with the sun, it might be 68.
Might be blinding is what you... So you'll have... If you had a convertible, top would be down. You'd be one of those people. You will be... it's possible you'll be on your bicycle shirtless tomorrow.
Not shirtless, but maybe on the bike.
Maybe on the bike,
Maybe
yeah.
I'll go for a walk.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Hit the trails. The snow might be melted. It'll be great. We haven't talked
by the way,
Go ahead.
I don't want Chris Paul. In fact, he just got traded, I think, to Toronto, didn't he? Who the Wolves are playing tonight?
Was it Toronto?
I thought it was Toronto.
Let me...
I don't want Chris Paul.
No.
And even the problem again with is it Lonzo Ball is...
Yep.
Right now, what you need, more than needing another ball handler, you need a scorer, right? You need a wing player who can give you reliable scoring off the bench, right? And Lonzo, I still like, because I do like the way he runs an offense. I think he's unselfish. But right now, I don't know that he gives you what you're looking for, which is occasionally someone who can give you some baskets off the bench. Anyway.
Super Bowl's going on. Super Bowl week going on in San Francisco / the Bay Area / Santa Clara, California. No surprise, Justin Jefferson is there making the rounds. He's joined a couple of different shows, including today, your gal Kay Adams' show, the Up and Adams Show.
Oh, I get it.
The Up and Adams Show.
I think I get it. Okay.
And inevitably, JJ was asked about the other JJ McCarthy.
As of right now, JJ is my quarterback. So for me, it's the
hell's that mean?
where we need to go, and it starts off right now in off season and getting better now.
What is one thing fans can hang on to, one really specific thing about JJ that gives you faith in him for next year?
I mean, if you look at the film, you look at the things that he's done. I mean, he's done very good things. Obviously, it wasn't the most spectacular thing. Obviously, those are things that he understands, and we all understand as a building that there are some things to work on. But JJ is a really good quarterback. He's a really good guy, personally, to sit there and talk to, and he's a great leader. He's a great motivator.
Justin, you got to be in this game next year. You got to be in this game next year.
We've been saying this for the past.
I know, but y'all have the roster. So I need to think that. Well, what needs to change?
That's a great question. That's a question that they don't pay me enough to answer. But in order for me to change in my shoes, I gotta hold the people that surround me accountable, which is of course carrying JJ into some more workouts, getting that connection down.
Are you going to hang with them more this year, this offseason?
Of course, if I want things to change, if that's going to be my quarterback, of course I gotta hold some type of accountability.
Are you just going to let it happen, or are you going to make your voice known?
Oh no, I'm gonna let it happen, and I don't need to show it either. I'm not going to be posting it on Instagram and social media.
No, I mean like what you want as the best player in the league. Like,
what you mean?
Like who you want throwing you the ball? What those decisions?
I don't care. That's not my decision.
You.
I don't care who's throwing me that ball. That's not my main priority. And I've said that.
You've always said that
multiple times. I don't really care who's going to be throwing that ball, but that person that's throwing that ball needs to throw that ball. Needs to lead us into that big dance at the end of the season.
All right, there was 152 from JJ on JJ. What do you think?
As of right now, what the hell does that mean?
Maybe you know something.
Is he hanging with Joe Burrow? What's the story of that new Joe Burrow hairstyle? How would we describe it?
Great flow.
Yeah, great flow.
Great flow.
Yeah, I can't relate to it.
Well conditioned.
Is it fair to say that if JJ McCarthy were Lindsey Vonn, he would already have withdrawn from the Olympics? Is that...
What are you talking about? He played on a bad ankle, and then he got ruled out like the next day against Atlanta. He played on a meniscus.
He did?
Yeah, preseason.
Yeah, that's not playing on an ACL. I mean, come on, man. I'm just saying.
No, I think
let's put it this way. I think there are people around this team who might agree with me that he would withdraw from the Olympics. Just saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, here's what he would do. He would tear his ACL in a game, you wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
He'd play poorly, and then KOC on Monday would say JJ's out for the season.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happened with a couple of
That's
his
true.
injuries. He's
That's
just
true.
played through them. Because he's a tough guy.
How nervous does JJ sound trying to defend the other JJ?
Kay Adams,
You could
I
tell.
thought, didn't let him off the hook.
She did it was a great interview.
Yeah.
It was a good 2-minute stretch. And, and she even stopped with what's he got to do better? Because she kind of caught him in a statement that he may not have intended to say and make and did. He's in an impossible situation.
He is.
I really believe that. What's he going to do? I mean, what's he going to say? I'm sure he's got thoughts and opinions behind the scenes, but if he's going to show up at the Super Bowl, he also knows then he's going to get asked about JJ. He can't show up and then be surprised. So that's why I think he accepts the questions, but you can tell that, he's kind of doing the word salad thing, kind of going in circles, because what else can he do at this point? He already raised, some people thought he said what he shouldn't have said the other day
on
in an
another
interview
show
about Sam Darnold. Like, we'd be in a better position, which to me is stating the obvious.
Right.
Now, you could argue other people would have talked around it more than he did, but I don't think anything he said was all that controversial or all that surprising. And for all we know, it's Justin Jefferson's way of reminding people in the building that he is frustrated, he is interested, he is aware that the 2025 season was a wasted season. There's no other way to look at it. That season the Vikings unintentionally just had a gap year, but it was one they did not intend to be a gap year.
Minnesota Wild have one more game before the Olympic break. It is tonight. It is right here on the Fan. They begin the evening 5 points back of the Colorado Avalanche for the most points in hockey. The Avs, by the way, have 3 games in hand on us. So we have played 3 more games than them. Gus Bus will get the net tonight as the Wild are in Nashville. Some refer to it as Nash Vegas. Foligno and Jesper Wallstad are sick, so they're not going to play tonight, but everybody else should be there as the Wild look to enter the Olympic break, Dan, with some momentum against the Preds.
This is our last game, correct? Before, as you say, the break. And we're feeling pretty good about the club at this point, are we not?
I don't know how we could feel much better.
How could you not feel pretty good about the club right now?
Nice overtime victory the other night. Kirill with a couple of goals. Remember when everybody was worried about his goal production right after Quinnesota got here?
Well, it was Quinnesota was actually taking the puck out of his possession too much.
Well, that's changed because he found him the other night a couple of times in overtime, too.
Yes.
And Kirill drew a penalty to get the power play for overtime.
Correct.
It was great. So that's going on tonight. You'll hear it right here on the Fan.
I'm looking forward to that. I finally remembered to send you some audio that I should have sent earlier that I want to play next segment before Pat Kessler joins us in studio at 5:30. And it's a nice follow-up to our conversation with, Billy Guerin a couple days ago and Luigi later about the Herb Brooks legacy. A lot of this is coming up again for all the obvious reasons. A new Miracle documentary dropped on Netflix.
I watched it last night.
The U.S. team is about to, participate in the Olympics. So this piece of sound is almost 5 minutes, and I think it's worth every minute if people just stay with it. You enjoy
So good.
Well done?
So good.
You learned something new, or it didn't need to be new? It was just a good refresher.
It was a great refresher, and the emotion of the players watching themselves.
That's what I heard from a couple other people. Yeah, that's
watching
what made
their
it.
family,
Yes.
many of them who aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
Their parents,
Yeah, right.
their aunts and uncles. I mean, I cried like 6 times with the players.
It's a smart device.
It was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's
really
a smart
well
way to get it done. So we'll play that bit of sound. We'll give you a little bit of background to it because I think it says an awful lot about the feeling then and about another side of Herb Brooks that doesn't always get as much attention as the crusty, curmudgeonly side. That's next.
Fan wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest, and the final keyword of the evening is check. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword check. Now.
coming up, bottom of the hour. Lots to get caught up on regarding the A section. A major announcement this morning indicating, was it 700 ICE officers would be withdrawing from Minnesota immediately? We'll see if that has, we have evidence that that's followed through. Signs of some sort of compromise deal as it pertains to the county cooperation with the ICE approach, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot to get to, and we'll have to do Ode to a Dead Newspaper.
Yeah.
I mean, the Washington Post isn't closing, but it is eliminating many of its sections, including, what has been historically one of the best sports sections in the country, with names like Tony Kornheiser, Mike Wilbon, Sally Jenkins.
John Feinstein.
That's the first person I thought of today. It's tragic that he's gone. I'm guessing, though, he's glad he didn't have to endure this. I can't imagine.
I wish we could talk to him about
what
it,
he would have been like in a day
David
like
Marinus.
this. David Marinus, exactly it. And they're trying to go a completely different direction. There was some good stuff, in fact, from Sally Jenkins. I think she wrote something for the New Yorker, or one of the online publications in response to what was confirmed or announced earlier today. So I'm sure we'll get into that as well. Gaardsy mentioned the new Netflix Miracle documentary, which he enjoyed immensely, cried a number of times. I've not yet seen it, but I did see this snippet that I thought played nicely with our conversations the last couple of days with both Bill Guerin, who played for Herbie Brooks, and Lou Nanne, who, of course, was among his best friends and hired him, obviously, at one point to be the head coach of the Minnesota North Stars. And you're going to hear from Ralph Cox, who was part of training camp for the 1980 U.S. men's Olympic hockey team, but ultimately ends up, as history has confirmed over and over again in a number of ways, the last cut. And what I find interesting about this, and it's a little lengthy, it's almost 5 minutes, so let it breathe a little bit, give it a chance, don't give up on it. I know we all have shorter attention spans, as we talked about with Gerald Posner, but I think it's worth the time because it speaks to a side of Herbie Brooks that sometimes gets overlooked, or sometimes we get the feeling they didn't even have this side of him. That gets revealed in just a terrific comment, in a terrific set of comments from, as I mentioned, the aforementioned Ralph Cox, who ended up playing, I think, mainly in Europe more than he ended professionally, more than he did in the United States. Let's listen.
People in Minneapolis were going to give us a going away banquet for, living there. We all lived in Minneapolis, and that's where we trained. I get to the hotel where the banquet hall is, and Herb wants to see me, and someone says he's downstairs in a small conference room, a small banquet hall. And as I'm walking down the stairs, I'm realizing that this is probably the moment. Like, I knew Herb, even though no one had said it, I really thought I was going to be on the team. I mean, I really thought I would be on the team and go to Lake Placid. I sensed that he was calling me there to tell me otherwise. So, I tell you, I stayed outside the room for about, the doors closed for a good 5 minutes, just trying to catch my breath, get my composure, because it was a very emotional moment. It was very, very hard to think about that possibility. So your emotions are running high, and I opened the door. Finally, I just said to myself, have some courage, take a breath, go in there and see what's going on. And when I walked in, Herb was pacing back and forth in the room. When he saw me come in, he just looked at me and he welled up, which I'd never seen that happen. I mean, Herb was a very powerful guy, and it took him a few minutes to be able to catch his breath or get his composure. And he tried to talk, and again, he was a little emotional. And at that moment, for some reason, I was extremely calm and in control. And I looked at him and I said, hey, it's going to be all right. And he sort of smiled at me a little bit, and he said, I've really enjoyed having you on the team. You've been great to have around. Your enthusiasm, your passion for the game. I think you're one of the best goal scorers I've ever seen or coached. He said, I think your injury has really slowed you down. It's only been 5 months. We're going to be playing on a big ice surface. And I have to make one of the toughest, if not the toughest, coaching decision I've ever had to make, Ralph, and I'm not going to be able to take you. And again, he welled up and stood up and walked around the room a little bit, and he sat back down again, and we talked a little bit about about the Olympics. I told him it was always a dream that I had to actually go there. I said, I really have I don't know where this came from, but I said, I really have a funny feeling about this team, that you're going to have a real shot at a medal. And he said, I think you can really win the gold medal. And he started laughing. And he said, geez, I'll be happy if we just have a good showing. There's a lot of people are not sure about that. And he said, it's nice to see you feel like that, you know. He said, if I can ever do anything for you ever in your career, he said, it'd be a pleasure to be able to do that. And what I didn't know at that time, and I didn't know for almost 10 years, but it made sense after the 10 years, because it was an article in Sports Illustrated, and the author of the article asked Herb, you know, at that moment when the final seconds ticked down and you knew you were going to win the gold medal, what were you thinking about? And he said, I was thinking about Ralph Cox. And I'm reading the article and I'm thinking, that's unusual. And then I went on to talk about Herb being the last cut in the 1960 Olympics, right before the Olympics. And just the ironic moment that, you know, when he was probably letting me go, he was thinking of himself. I knew it was hard for him, and it was obviously a crushing moment for me as an athlete. And I remember when I left there, I thought my life was over. This was going to be it. You know, it would never be the same, and my life would be very different, which it has been. And it took a few years to sort of adjust who you are in the world, because you think, you know, at that point as an athlete, you think of yourself as a hockey player. But it really forced me and helped me think about myself and the world around me in a much healthier way, in a good way. And I went on. I had a great career playing in Europe, and, you know, a lot of good moments in hockey, and a lot of good moments working with the Penguins with Herb. And people used to tell me, don't you hate Herb Brooks? Not for a second. I enjoyed him as a coach. He was a phenomenal hockey coach, you know, and I don't think people need me to say that, but he was the best bench coach that I think most of us on that team ever had. And, you know, it wasn't easy, I think, melding that team together. We were all young and enthusiastic guys, and all of us were the captains of our team. We all had big egos, and we all wanted to play, and we thought we should be playing all the time, killing penalties on the power play. And, you know, the guys from the East, really, that's true, and the guys from the West, they had this culture clash, and he had a way of bringing us together, and he certainly was as good as coach as I've ever played for.
Ralph Cox, the last player cut from the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team, the team that went on to win the Miracle at Lake Placid. I just thought that was very well played. You know, the old Wide World of Sports intro, which we've played from time to time on this show that I grew up with, Jim McKay saying, you know, about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And I think there's another part of it where he refers to the human drama of athletic competition. Well, this is the human drama of what went on behind, or, you know, the athletic competition, not while the competition was going on, but before it began. And to me, these are the kinds of stories that are every bit as compelling as what ends up happening in the games themselves, the conversations that go on behind the scenes, many of which we're never going to hear of, or in many cases we'll only hear much later, like in a situation like this. And it's all part of the bit. Somebody's got to be the last player cut. Now, if that team had gone on and done nothing, you know, maybe won a bronze or not even medaled,
or lost the first game to Sweden, which they almost did.
That's true. Then there's no big drama here. But it becomes more dramatic because of then what he missed out on, what Ralph Cox missed out on. And you find out again that, yeah, Herbie Brooks did have a heart. He didn't always want to reveal it, and he didn't always want to show it. In fact, there were times he felt like the worst thing he could do as a coach is to show it, but it was there, and you can see it as Ralph Cox relays that story.
At the end of the movie, at the end of the new documentary, the players talk about, because they never got, I think, what Bill Guerin got in 2002, seeing two different Herb Brooks. Mm-hmm. And so one of the players pulled out a letter that they got in the summer of 1980 after, that basically outlined why Herb felt like he had to have that separation and turn everybody against him Number one, to get them to bond together because they didn't like each other at the beginning. But number two, he knew that he had to have these Ralph Cox conversations, and it was going to eat him up if he actually got to know the guys or saw him as they got to see him as human. So he had to maintain that separation. And he even said in the letter, there's not a team that I would love to identify with more on a personal level than this group of guys. And the last part of the movie is them kind of all lamenting that they never got to do that because he obviously passed away. Now, there was time between 1980 and 2002, 2003, but life goes on and you move on.
Exactly.
And so that was a big lament that you could tell they all had because they all wanted it after going through, which was not a fun experience. Of how he coached
by all accounts,
by all accounts. So anyway, it's 90 minutes and everybody should watch it.
I definitely
really
will get to it, maybe even this weekend, if not sooner. I was fascinated, and this is confirmed by what you say in the documentary, by the fact that Herbie was such a letter writer, or writing out stuff, writing out his thoughts or his ideas, which is part of what I think brings this story back to light again, because the family kept that stuff, and they were able to use some of it, or put that into some kind of context.
They showed the speech before the Russian.
Did they? Yeah.
Like the card that said, you were born to be here.
Yeah. All that stuff, the written word, the idea that you can look at a card or a piece of paper and it's not a printout. It's actually written by that in their hand, longhand by that individual. It feels like it's from a different era, and I guess it, quite frankly, kind of is. We will pause here. A lot to get to with Special K Pat Kessler on a fairly eventful day in the A section locally. He'll give us an update on a number of fronts. We'll continue to monitor the wires to see if there are any new, credible reports regarding what the Timberwolves might be up to. And yes, apparently there is a chance that Mike Conley could end up back here on a minimum contract now that he's been traded a second time, first by the Wolves and now more recently by the Bulls. But there is nothing official yet on that happening as well. So we'll keep abreast of all of that as we prepare to talk A-section stuff with Mr. Kessler. That's next.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they pro-America or anti-America?
Pat Kessler.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
I can't trust Obama. He's an Arab.
Pat Kessler.
Tear down this wall.
I did nothing wrong at the Minneapolis airport.
Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Pat Kessler. And now, to help Dan break down all the tough questions in politics, it's our own Pat Kessler Political Wonk.
I feel like a supermodel, except like times 10.
It's Channel 4's Pat Kessler with Dan Barrero on the Fan.
That's such a whiner. That's all. I mean, Kessler comes in here once a week, and if things aren't in perfect position for him,
sure,
I guess that's what happens eventually. You get older, you get crustier, you get more curmudgeon. By the way, happy National Curmudgeon's Day. That was, I think, was it late last week?
I missed that.
I think
you celebrate that every year.
That's uncalled for.
Every day.
That's absolutely. Well, right now you're acting more curmudgeonly than me.
Well,
the chair's
not wipes.
No, I got nothing for you.
Who sits here during the morning show?
Rosen. Oh, no, he's not on the morning show anymore.
No, that's like Marnie, Mark Parrish. That's kind of the guest.
That's a good.
Well, you don't like the.
That's a good.
What's wrong with the chair right there? Is it because it's got no arms on it?
Which chair do I not want to sit in?
Well,
for the morning show,
I'm not.
There's really no good answer to that one.
It all gets sanitized.
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
it all gets.
Does it?
No, not really.
No, of course it doesn't.
Not really. I want picture this, Pat Kessler.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to picture. Where did it go? Did I lose it? Oh, come on! I thought I had it. Let's see if I had it here.
So, yeah,
here it is. Here it is. Picture yourself as a grizzled, perhaps curmudgeonly,
easy
reporter who prides himself or herself on covering the story that no one else wants to cover. Very few do. Why? Because it's dangerous. It is literally putting yourself in harm's way on a daily basis. Let's say, for example, you're covering the war in Ukraine.
And you're in Kyiv.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're sending out tweets like this one, January 25th of this year, waking up without power, heat, or running water again. But the work here in Kiev continues. Warming up in the car, writing in pencil, pen ink freezes by headlamp. And despite how difficult this job can be, I am proud to be a foreign correspondent at the Washington Post. Imagine being that individual, only to find out earlier today that you have been laid off in the middle of a war zone. You don't have to imagine it. Lizzie Johnson, Washington Post writer, reporter, is in exactly that position. Tweeting out, I have no words. I am devastated. I have so much admiration. We've talked about this before for people who cover wars. I can't even imagine. I consider myself a tough guy. Come on, man. I can't even begin to fathom the cojones you have to have, male or female, in order to do that job. And to find out today, now maybe she knew it was coming because there were a lot of word on the street that the Washington Post was going to be slicing a lot of its, many of its sections, basically neutering several of them, just cutting them out. But imagine still being in that position, describing what she just described as late as the last week of January, and you find out you're there and you no longer have a job with that publication.
This is extremely discouraging to see what's happened to what once was the crown jewel of American journalism. The Washington Post, today it's announced that they're laying off 300 journalists. And reading that post from Lizzie Johnson, is that her name?
That's her name,
yeah,
correct.
Right. In Kyiv. Just sent me into a tailspin. I went down a rabbit hole trying to find out, is that true? It's true she was notified. Was she notified in the sub-zero temperature during an attack by email that your job is eliminated? And now what? Are they going to get her out of the war theater? Are they going to bring her home? I mean, what is going on here? Nobody called her. The people who actually are sacrificing more than almost anybody else. So that's just one terrible, terrible story from the Washington Post, where 300 of the roughly 800 journalists are laid off. They are cutting almost all of their international coverage, all their foreign coverage. And interestingly,
and sports.
And they're cutting out the entire sports section. They are moving a couple of sports reporters over to the features area because it's culture, right? Now, for those of us who believe that the sports section, the A section is what keeps the sports section dry when it hits the front porch. That's that you protect it with that. You're cutting that out. You've cut out many other parts of the paper. This is a promise broken by Jeff Bezos, one of the richest, if not the richest man in the world, next to Elon Musk. Promise broken. He was going to build up this crown jewel and make it greater than ever before. He is cutting it. Why not just sell it? Why not sell it at the same time where he is laying off 16,000 workers at Amazon also. So what is going on?
Well,
and why?
Look, we all know the traditional newspaper model is dying. That's part of the story.
Absolutely, let's talk about that.
However, I want to read something that Sally Jenkins wrote, a longtime Washington Post sports columnist, among other jobs that she had, because I think she makes an important point here. She writes, making money at journalism, you have to break rocks with a shovel. You have to love thinking about journalism to the point that it wakes you up at night with an idea, and then you have to be willing to try it. And I don't see a sense that your guy, Bezos, loves the business enough to think about it at night. It's almost like he's treated it like Pets.com. An interesting experiment that he's willing to lose some money on until he's not. But the difference with this business is it's not Pets.com. It's not a business that just disappears into the muck of venture capitalism. It is a business that is essential to the survival of the republic for bleep's sake. So you don't bleep around with it like that. Now, I know there's people who are going to mock and ridicule her and say, you don't understand, and good luck. That's just the way it is. Just deal with it. But she's onto something. At its best, it is more than just another business or just a commodity like Pets.com.
Sure.
The meaning of it is so much greater. And look, somebody wrote it. I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's almost like we're headed towards two parts of the modern media. The New York Times, maybe the Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal also.
And 5 million Substack columns. That's really that's what it's going to be in the future. Because you know and I know more and more newspapers are going to continue to cut back or in many cases eventually go away entirely. And I'm old enough to lament that variety. What I think it also represented, not to mention what you and I have talked about before, the number of smaller town newspapers that have all but ceased to exist, at least to the extent that they can't afford reporters covering city council. And at places like that, you could say it might even hurt more than in places like metropolitan areas. So, again, I know I sounded like it back in my day, and go ahead. Dan, you're one of those newspaper guys, and you're acting like the world's coming to an end. It's not coming to an end, but it's changing. And in this regard, I don't think it's changing for the better.
Well, this is sad because of what we have grown up with in this country with the Washington Post and other newspapers. But there is some hope. There is an entirely new landscape for journalism that does include social media. It's for newspapers figuring out, and also television stations and radio stations figuring out how to monetize the product. So when you look at the New York Times, for example, it's not just the New York Times, which is the greatest journalism in the world, and the Wall Street Journal, also incredible journalism there. It is paying for the New York Times cooking section, Wordle, and all the games, paying for podcasts, all of these things which can monetize and make a journalism institution better. It doesn't look like the Washington Post seriously investigated, examined that way to go, which makes it all the more difficult to watch it wither on the vine. There are groups out there who would love to buy it. And make it what it once was. But you mentioned the platforms and the Substacks. There are some organizations, some news organizations that are pretty damn good. And one is the rise of the Atlantic magazine, which rivals what the Washington Post used to do. Number two, organizations, online organizations, newspapers like ProPublica, which are really incredible. And locally, you have MinnPost, you've got the Minnesota Reformer, you've got these groups and organizations and newsletters here where you could absolutely do this. But, the Washington Post gave it up, and what makes it more difficult for people to stomach is that it appears all the signs point to Bezos, the owner, Jeff Bezos, doing this in service of Donald Trump. Now, that raises a very difficult issue, but they lost hundreds of thousands of subscribers because of the cutbacks that Bezos wanted to do and did. And now where are we? So have at it, people, all our listeners. Let us know what you think. But my goodness, this is worth noting.
All right, let's. As you said, there's a lot of other things to get to, but I didn't want to ignore that significant story. So your guy, Tom Holman, he's still here. He had a presser this morning in which he made a series of announcements. Give our audience, those who have not been paying close attention, what he had to say, how significant it is, and are we seeing concrete signs of change and that we're headed to maybe a more peaceable or peaceful place? What do you think?
Well, let's talk about a couple of things. Where the border czar, Tom Homan, did announce this morning what I think is hopeful news, right direction news, the drawdown of 700 troops in Minnesota immediately, effective today, but it still leaves a couple thousand ICE and Border Patrol agents here in Minnesota and particularly in Minneapolis. He also announces that all ICE agents will now wear body cams. It's about frickin' time. And he says that county jails are going to consider working with ICE to hand over undocumented inmates that they might have staying at their jail. So is this progress? Is it really? I mean, I'm still seeing videos today of ICE agents being extremely aggressive. And Minnesota Democratic leaders and many protesters that are in the movement now say, this ain't enough. Don't believe it until you see it. And is this just a way for the Trump administration to hold everybody off while they try to get the government reopened and have ICE funded because the Democrats are trying to shut it down? So I don't know, man. I think it's probably good news, but we just don't know. I would say trust but verify, because there's no evidence right now that people are not getting pulled out of cars, that ICE agents aren't stopping people who are following them and pulling guns, deporting little kids to other states and detention centers. We don't know that yet. So I'd say you got to wait. Remember, he's saying that county jails might turn over people. That was one of the very, very big issues. I'm old enough to remember this, that when Obama was president, Minnesota jails did turn over undocumented people to ICE. And if I'm not mistaken, I think ICE actually had an office in the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. I think they had an office there where you had somebody there, and they would turn people over. And Obama got a lot of grief for this because people were being deported who did not have criminal records or serious criminal records. So I don't know. Maybe the past, maybe we're going back to the future here.
How did he pull that off?
Well, because county jails worked with ICE, and I think there were probably 150 ICE agents here in Minnesota.
Okay.
And in fact, there were no laws against that. The county jails would hold undocumented immigrants for up to 48 hours after they had served their sentence. Well, a lot of the progressives were starting to say, well, look, they've served their time. You can't hold them. And that's when, like 2013, 2014, that is when we start to see the rise of laws like sanctuary cities. You can't cooperate with ICE, all of that. So this happened when lefty Obama was president. And the difference now is the chaos and confusion and the ugliness of what these ICE agents are doing here.
We had Paul Bloom on yesterday, and he had been in court, in federal court, reporting on and chatting with us about this ICE attorney named Julie Lee, I think is how you pronounce her last name. Mm-hmm. And she'd had a meltdown in court in front of the judge, saying, this was in front of Judge Jerry Blackwell, the system sucks. This job sucks.
Think about it.
This is what she told the judge.
My God.
He had said, the question I think he pressed her on, okay, why are so many court orders being ignored by ICE and the Trump administration? And she seemed so frustrated by everything that she asked to be held in contempt just so she could get 24 hours of sleep. I don't think she was held in contempt. However, today, apparently, her assignment is over. She has also, I don't know if she left on her own volition or she was told to pack up.
Sent to a detention center?
I don't know.
Well, the New York Times is reporting this afternoon, just during the last hour or so, that she has been fired.
Oh, okay.
The prosecutor has been fired after she voice that frustration. I've never heard of anything like that where, she says, what do you want me to do? I would have loved to. I heard Paul Bloom on the show yesterday, and I was gobsmacked just listening to it. It was hard to believe, but it's actually true. She said, I don't have a magic button to do this. I don't have the power. And we can't do it. She volunteered to be here because all of these people had resigned from the U.S. Attorney's Office, which is a whole nother story. There goes our fraud cases here in Minnesota. But she volunteered to be here and then immediately was assigned 90 different immigration cases. Think about that. So you might have children. And by the way, there's more than just that beautiful little boy who just came back. There's other kids who are gone. Governor Walz again today demanding that they be returned. But she has all of those kinds of cases. This has frustrated prosecutors. It has angered the state officials here in Minnesota. And the judges are going, what in the hell? We've ordered you to release these people, and there doesn't seem to be a way to do it.
There's nothing orderly or even legal about the process in a number of cases.
Yeah.
You mentioned the number of attorneys that have now left the office, the U.S. Attorney's Office. I think it's up to 14.
I think that's right. I think that's
the latest number.
Yeah.
And again, effectively, by the way, Andy Luger is supposed to join us in studio tomorrow, beginning, I think, at 4:30, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm guessing he'll want to talk about this because it's an office that he helped build and left in. I mean, again, whatever side folks are on, and we get them all here via the text line. These were very professional. These are professionals who built this office up over a period of time as any place, and it's effectively gutted right now. Is what it amounts to. Regardless of what you think, they're all but in terms of top people, they're all but starting over, having to rebuild the thing.
And this is a very, very difficult thing to do. What Andy Luger did, and also the Assistant Attorney Thompson, Joe Thompson. Where you have to build a case, and you have a staff that is going through literally millions and millions of records, building a case, trying to build it beyond a reasonable doubt. They did incredible work. So the first was it 7, 8? You're saying
with maybe a little more precision than a social media influencer taking some video in front of a couple of these locations and saying, "Aha! I've got $9 billion of fraud right here."
And by the way,
what you're saying?
How many indictments have there been? How many arrests have there been? I'm going to give you the answer. 0. So that's a little crazy. So you have those people who resigned because they thought it was unethical. Not the fraud stuff. They had to leave the fraud stuff behind. They were assigned to investigate the widow of Renee Good and all of the community acts. So they resigned in protest of that. And these last 7 or 8 that have resigned, they said it was for ethical reasons, but we don't know what that is. If somebody
have any of them spoken up yet?
No.
Okay.
So we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And so 14 leave, and then I don't know. This leaves our department in a really our U.S. Attorney's Office in a very, very difficult position because they're swamped with this immigration chaos that has been caused by ICE coming here. And then what happens to the fraud? What happens to the child abuse cases? What happens to all of the things that they've been working on?
Gang stuff that they've worked on pretty effectively as well.
Yeah, so there it is.
I'm confused by the caucus news. I'm getting different versions of what the results actually indicated. Mm-hmm. So I need some clarity from you there. And then we got a couple of texts that have come in regarding, I guess, the political side of it as well, away from the ICE case, regarding endorsements, et cetera. So we got more with Kessie, Special K, we call him, Pat Kessler, back in just a quick minute here on The Fan. This day, Pat Kessler, 52 years ago, a popular musician released an album called Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player.
Oh, man. What? Who was that?
Who would that be? Do you know?
That's not Billy Joel. That's not. No, I know it. I know it. I can't think of it.
He has toured, I think, occasionally with Billy Joel, however, where they've toured together.
Wait. Hold on. Is it Joe Jackson?
Good guess, but incorrect.
Oh, okay.
Elton John.
Oh, really?
Elton John, great album. Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. Crocodile Rock.
Oh, okay.
And the ballad that was massive, Daniel, came from that album.
Daniel, my brother.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. It's a great album cover, I might add as well. Back in the days when albums were albums.
I should have known that.
I'm a little disappointed in you, but
what's that,
given how curmudgeonly
50. I am not curmudgeonly.
You're the anti-curmudgeon?
All right, so I'm,
Go ahead, get it out of your system.
It's bugging
Somebody's
me.
coming to your defense.
Yeah, so our friend of the show, Blois Olson.
Yes.
Yeah.
He immediately came to your defense.
Immediately. Pat Kessler is the least curmudgeonly reporter I've ever dealt with.
I would say past tense,
I would
maybe.
say shut up, Piggy.
Present time, I'm not so sure. I think as you've reached your 80s, I think you've gotten a little more curmudgeonly.
So because I was like 30-something when you don't shoot me. I'm
that's true. Think about it.
I was like 35.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. God, was that?
I would have thought you'd gone to. I've told the story to Gaardsy before. I went to see as a freshman at Indiana University Elton John at Assembly Hall, and I didn't ever see him, even though I was there. I had because my I either had run out of contact lenses or I'd broken my glasses. I was nearsighted, so I couldn't see far. And for a while, I didn't have any, but I still had a ticket to the concert. And I said,
I'm going.
I got to go, upper deck. So I'm literally in a place where it's a blur. Elton John is a blur. I couldn't prove he was there, but I did listen to his music.
Okay, so that might even be better. So you're like the Taylor in that movie, that World War II movie, The Great Escape.
That's it.
That's who you are.
That's very good. That's good.
That's who you are.
That's a good
I
analogy.
regret never seeing Elton John back then. I think it's really performative now, and it's fine. But back in the day when he was really rocking, that would have been
long time ago.
Yep.
You're down on his concerts now. You're criticizing the Elton John experience now.
Not at all.
Yeah, you kind of were.
He's 110 years old, still trying to bring great joy to people all over the world.
Well, he is not. He's no longer performing. FYI.
Well, I know, but he did.
No, but he says that, and then he keeps performing.
I know. Then he keeps doing it.
I saw him in like 2006. Should I apologize for that? Should I feel bad that I didn't get to see him?
I wish I had seen him. I really do.
Yeah, that's your loss.
What's the biggest FOMO that you have? I mean, from last week is the biggest FOMO I have ever had.
Not being at First Ave, you mean?
Yeah, I didn't even try. I don't know why. I didn't try.
Because you're more curmudgeonly now.
That's not.
It was too cold.
I didn't want to deal with the snow and the crowd and all that stuff.
Well, I just have a car take me.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Is that true?
Yes.
A service?
Yes.
That's what I thought. All right. So will you explain what happened in the caucuses here? Because I
don't know.
Well, you had sent out earlier some rather mysterious deal.
It was.
No DFL caucus straw poll results yet, and then you put,
Well,
is that conspiracy theory stuff, or what are we doing?
Well, it is. Yeah, it is. I try to be as updated as I can, as up to date when I send.
When you send the notes,
a menu.
yes, exactly.
You can use them, or in your case, not use them, whatever I send. But when at the time of that writing, the Democratic Party, the DFL party in Minnesota, had not released.
Were they using the same system that the city what was it? The mayor's race on the DFL side. Remember they had problems with the tabulating of votes and had to start over.
It was so bad. Yeah, like the DFL endorsing convention.
And then
completely separate from
what
the
was
state
the pastrami?
Party.
And then the pastrami sandwich was like $82 or something. Yeah,
it was good
because they were serving it on occupied land.
I forgot about that. That's true. That's very true.
You're
right.
Yeah. So that's what it was. And what has happened, it was unusually late when the Democratic Party of Minnesota released its results. It was this afternoon after 12 noon. But we had the caucuses last night, so we have now begun the election in Minnesota because the caucuses began last night. There were a lot of people who came out. 30,000 people came out for the Democrats. I think 20,000 plus for the Republicans. And so now it's starting to take shape. We know who the candidates are and who is leading in the races. But the Democratic Party did not really put that out till this afternoon, and there was a lot of eyebrows raised because many of the lefties in Minneapolis were not voting for Klobuchar to be the governor candidate for the state. Is this a message? We don't know. But Klobuchar...
Well, do they want to win or not? That'd be my comeback to them. I mean, are they interested in winning? Holding on to the governor's chair or not?
Well, some of the progressives in Minneapolis are saying she's too centrist.
Yeah.
She is too centrist. Well, here's the thing. So Uncommitted in one very prominent South Minneapolis.
Right.
Yeah, Uncommitted is who won, beat Klobuchar. Uncommitted got, let me look here, 338 votes, and Klobuchar got 200. So is that a thing? No, the Democrats in Minnesota, the whole party statewide, put out the race. She won 79% in the straw poll statewide.
But did she? Did they make that number up? Is that real?
Why are you creating a conspiracy?
I'm asking because you kind of have me going down that road here. Did they kind of find a way to fudge it a little bit in the end, despite the fact that
I think it's worth asking the question.
Yeah,
not that they fudged the numbers,
right.
But they wanted to get everything in because they didn't want Klobuchar to have a bad night. But I think there are...
Here's my suggestion.
There's progressives. I'm sorry, go ahead.
She doesn't need this endorsement. In all seriousness, do you think it has will have any impact on whether she would win in a general election? The answer is no.
I absolutely do not.
No.
All this has an impact on is how big a margin she will get, or a candidate will get
Correct.
in the DFL. For the DFL convention. As a matter of fact, why are we even holding these caucuses?
I don't know. You
these
tell
are
me.
the left of the
pastrami
lefties
sandwiches
of the
are
left
good. Yeah, whatever.
and the rightist of the right.
Yeah.
They're doing this. Now, on the Republican side, I think it's worth pointing out that Lisa Damuth, the Minnesota House Speaker, came out on top. Kendall Qualls, the businessman, number 2. And then I'm happy
Your
to
guy?
report my guy, Mike Lindell. Is number 3. And in polling that the National Republicans are doing, he's doing really well in Minnesota. So Damuth, Qualls, Lindell. The question arises, should people who do not have, who are not beating Uncommitted, for example.
Right.
Should candidates who are way, way back, should they drop out and give the Republicans a better chance? I think that's a good question for them. We also ought to ask Republicans if, in fact, do you believe Donald Trump won Minnesota 3 times?
Yes, he does.
Did Donald Trump, he won Minnesota 3 times. He's never gotten credit for that.
That and he's won the national elections 3 times.
Yes, but now in Minnesota, he won it 3 times. That's one of the reasons that he's so ticked off.
Yeah, with us
at
in the
Minnesota.
first place,
So Damuth in the league, Qualls, Lindell, and then Klobuchar far ahead. As you're raising all of these questions about the tabulation here.
Does Kessler think, this is from Texter 651, does Kessler believe Tina Smith made a mistake in endorsing Peggy Flanagan over Angie Craig for her U.S. Senate seat rather than remaining quote-unquote neutral?
I'm going to tell you, I was surprised by that. I was surprised that Flanagan got the endorsement of Tina Smith this early. Why don't you wait until you see how things start to shake out? Peggy Flanagan does represent a progressive wing of the party that Angie Craig does not. Angie Craig is more of a centrist. What do these labels even mean nowadays? But that race is going to be very chippy, I think, for the next few months. Flanagan is more of the Bernie Sanders and in now Tina Smith wing of the party.
Right.
And Angie Craig is somebody who is more of a Dean Phillips type, somebody who might have more appeal in outside the Twin City metro area. So that is going to be a very, very interesting race to watch. And perceptive question, I was kind of surprised that she did it this early.
In fact, I think I saw, didn't Dean Savage, I think via Twitter he got in on that and took a couple of hard shots.
I did see that, and to the point where he is always so measured, Dean Phillips, and everybody owes Dean Phillips an apology. P.S., including you.
I've issued it several times.
Yeah. But he was uncharacteristically harsh.
Yes.
Like, hey, you guys, look at me. You guys.
Well, when is he going to? Is it time for him to jump back into something?
I would love it. I would love to see him get in.
But I don't think he's acting like he doesn't want to do it.
Well, why? Does he have a future in the Democratic Party is the question.
That's true.
And it's very difficult, if not impossible, to run as an independent. We've talked about Chris Mantle on the Republican side. He would probably make a good independent, but you can't do it. I mean, it's very
which is unfortunate with the money. Did you happen to see, I forgot to mention this earlier in the show or even yesterday, Mantle, I'm flipping channels. I want to say it was, what's today, Wednesday? I want to say it was Monday night. And it's the CNN show after there's Andy Cooper, then there's the White House correspondent.
Caitlin Collins.
And then there's another.
Who doesn't smile.
Who doesn't, according to the president, needs to smile more. Yeah. And then there's the show after, and the name of the woman
Laura
who hosts it. No, it's not her. It's
Abby Phillips.
That's
Abby
the one.
Phillips.
That's sort of the free-for-all show where she gets like 4 or 5 people, and they're just Texas cage matching.
It blows my head up.
It's a little rough at times.
If you look at it.
So I'm looking, and I'm looking at the panel.
Right. Yes.
And I'm seeing, wait a minute, that guy looks a lot like Chris Mantle.
He was
sure enough,
here.
He was on the panel. And he almost came to blows with somebody who worked in the Obama administration at one point. They're pointing back and forth, and you don't know what you're talking about, what's happening on the ground in Minneapolis. No, you're out of order. You don't know what we're talking about. And I had to text him. I said, well, don't forget the little people when you get the big gig on CNN.
No kidding.
Yeah. So,
well, he's got a very lucrative defense lawyer.
Yes, he does.
Career.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
So, I mean, that would have been something had he stayed in the race, but leaving it for what he says are ethical reasons, I totally believe in.
Right.
But running as an independent, there are independent U.S. senators. You've got.
But Jesse's the only one who ever pulled it off, correct?
Yeah, that's true for governor.
But
Bernie Sanders is an independent.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
So there are Angus King,
but not many.
Yeah, there aren't many, and it's very difficult, and you got to thread that needle. But that was something, man. He has jumped right into it, hasn't he?
Apparently so. Yeah, I don't know what's next. Thanks for hanging.
Oh, it's good.
I got to several of your items. I know I didn't get to. Is it Bad Bunny?
Oh yeah, I
apologize
got much
for
to
that.
Say about Bad Bunny.
You're big. You've been I didn't know you're like you. You appreciated early Bad Bunny. I had no idea.
Yeah, back
just like early Elton John.
Acoustic Bad Bunny.
Well, I did. The Despacito.
He's mad at you for your Elton John shot.
I know.
I just haven't seen him for a few weeks, so I figure I got to get my shots in. By the way, speaking of that, do you have the tweet ready for Sunday?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a great halftime show. It's going to be awesome, but it's not as good as Prince.
Love you. You're the best.
Do you know how many people have already gotten there?
About that.
How many people have already fired that shot? It's amazing.
Well, I mean, am I wrong?
But then
is that wrong?
Then why do we still feel compelled to say it? If it's stating the obvious.
Well, you don't even know because you're going to be watching the rival halftime show with Kid Rock.
What's wrong with Kid Rock?
There's nothing wrong with it.
If you America,
don't like
man.
Bad Money,
love it or leave it.
Here's some advice.
Yeah.
Go in your backyard, grab a beer, and have a cigarette, and then when you're done, come back in.
That sounds like
Just
me.
do that.
There's no question about
that. Actually sounds incredible.
Shot in a beer. All right, we got to go.
All right.
We'll talk next week. Pat Kessler, 5, 6, and 10. Maybe tonight from the rooftop at Channel 4. Those are the days.